All right, we are going to jump into some activations and some end range stretching. So this should only be done after you've had a good warm up from some cardio or a previous class. We're going to jump straight in. We're going to need a chair. We're going to want your blocks and a slider, so either weight or something slippery underneath your foot. Okay, we're going to start with the chair. We're going to lie down. We're going to activate into those hamstrings a little bit to get some blood flow through them and get them warm. Sitting nice and close to the chair, we're lying down onto your back. We're going to place your feet onto the chair. Think about it being about 90 degrees angle with the feet, and push your chair against something like a wall so that you don't end up pushing it backwards unaware as we take the weight into the feet. So we want to think about lifting one leg up. We're going to push up into that leg, so we're lifting up onto our shoulder blades as high as you can. You need your elbows to stabilize, keep squeezing into the glutes, get that hip as high as you can. And both legs are a little bit bent. We're going to think about doing this in an opposite movement. So we're going to think about taking the leg that's up in the sky down to touch the floor while keeping your hips as high as you can. Keep the knee up, don't let it drop to the side. Keep it directly to the ceiling, squeezing glutes up, tapping the floor with the other toe. And then we're going to drop the hips and bring that knee in towards the ribs as we go. So we're going to do that as set. So we're going to push up with the hips, drop the toes, squeeze up with the hips as high as you can, and back down again. You're going to feel that through that hamstring all the way. All right, so we're going to do those reps together. You can start with your bum on the floor, one leg on the chair, and the other leg ready to tap down to the ground. So pressing through the chair with the leg, lift the hips, and the opposite leg is going toe touching towards the floor. Keep it on the floor and squeeze it as high as you can, knee up to the ceiling, and coming back down. That's for one. And again, push. Toes tapping, squeezing hips up and down. That's two. And we're going again. Hips up, tapping the toes, squeeze the glutes. That's three. We're going to do two more. Push, tap, squeeze up into those hips. Make sure your hips are square to the ceiling. Release. This is going to be the last one. Push, squeeze up with those hips and release. Down. And take a second. If you want to stretch out that hamstring, just get a little pull. Flex into those toes, pulses, squeeze the quad, and arch into the back, stretch it out. And we're going to switch legs to the other side. So switching the basing leg, other leg's getting ready, bring the knee to the ribs, and we're going to push the hips up, tapping the toe to the ground. 4, 1, make sure your hips stay parallel to the ceiling, knees up to the sky. Coming down, knee up to the ribs. And we're going 2. Hips up, toe down, hips square, and back. Going for 3, push. Squeeze up into those glutes, hips as high as you can go. And release. And 4, squeeze. And release. It's going to be the last one. We're pushing hips high, tapping that toe, squeeze up with the bum. And release. Good. Stretching out that leg. The pulses, if you can't grab all the way to the ankle, just grab into the calf. Just gently pulling it up towards you, try and arch into the back. Flexing and pointing that toe. Good. All right. We're going to be on our knees. We're going to take one foot up on. Grab your blocks for support. For those hands. Placing that one foot on. We're going to stay on the knees. Use the blocks, turn them down as low as you can manage, squaring into those hips. Make sure they're facing the front. If you need padding under the knee, grab something for your knee. We're going to think about rounding and arching. We're going to keep a flex into the toe. We're pushing through the arch for 1. And take the blocks up as high as you need to be able to effectively move through the pelvis. 2, squeezing that heel down into the chair, squeezing the quad. 3, and 4. Last one to hold. Flattening through that back, squeezing that quad. Press your heel as hard as you can into the chair, flexing the toes. Light into the hands. Keep active in that heel. Holding 5, 4, 3, 2. Let the toe point. Let's sink you down low as you can go. And lengthen through the spine. We're going to point and flex, starting with a flex. 4, 1, and 2, and 3, 4. Last one to hold, keeping the flex. Squeeze that quad, press the heel, lengthen through that spine. Weight out of the hands. We hold in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Switching legs other side. Put up onto the chair. Make sure those hips are nice and square. Knees underneath your hips. If it helps with your stability, you can tuck that back toe as well. Keep flexing the toes, squeezing that quad, pressing your heel down, rounding and arching, pulling in through the ribs, lengthening. 4, 1, and 2, and 3, 4, and we're going to hold that arch. Press the heel down, squeezing the quad, weight out of the hands, lengthening through the spine. And we're going to point into the toes, sinking it all the way. And lengthen through the spine, keeping the hips square. We're going to flex and point, starting with the flex. 4, 1, and 2, 3, 4. Last one we're holding. Squeeze that quad, press the heel, lengthen the spine, weight out of the hands. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And out. Onto those knees, give those a wiggle. Alright, if you need to build up underneath your knee, or if you can go all the way to the ground, we're going to do the half pigeon with the leg onto the chair. So, thinking about trying to get it as close to 90 as you can. Cross the front of the chair, pulling the opposite hip towards that heel. Your uncomfortable surface. And we're going to gently just try and sink down through that chest towards that leg. And we're going to gently round and arching, pushing through the ribs. 4, 1. Rock that hip towards that heel. 2, and 3, 4. We're holding, keeping the rotation in on that hip. We're going to try and tuck that back toe and press into the knee, trying to straighten it. 4, 1. And walk a little bit backwards if you need to. 2. We want to fight down with that hip as we lift into that knee. 3. 2 more. 4. Last one to hold, keeping the push. Wrap that hip, lengthen through the spine like you're trying to look up. Pushing your chest through, rolling that hip, locking that quad for 5, 4, 3, 2, and coming back out. Give those hips a little shake out. And get ready for the other side. Switching the leg. And keep it towards 90. Nice and square through the hips. Gently going forwards. And we're pulsing towards the chair, round and arch through the ribs. 4, 1. And 2. And 3. 4. And we're holding. Our belly button pushing through, lifting up through the chest. We're going to tuck that back toe, straightening into the back leg. Wiggle it back if you need to. Sinking into that hip. And we're going to pulse that back knee down and up. 4, 1. Right down through that hip as we go. 2. 3. 4. And we're holding the push. Wrap that hip, lengthen through the body. Chest up high, pushing the belly button through, locking that back leg straight. We're sinking. 5, 4, 3, 2. Definitely coming out. Good. Give those hips a shake. Grab a sip of water. We're going to stay on your mats. We're going to turn it around. Facing backwards to the chair, one foot is going up, knee is going underneath. If you do feel like you need padding under your knee, grab some blocks for your hands for support. Front foot is coming out. And we're going to push through that front foot, chest nice and high, tuck your tailbone, tall through the ribs, get that stretch through that quad. Think about trying to make a gap between your heel and your bum. It's going to push deeper into that hip flexor. Hold on to the chair, try and arch back a little bit. And squeezing into the butt cheek. We're holding it for 5, 4, 3, 2, and pulsing down into that lunge. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's hold the sink. Press into the back foot on that chair. You want to actively press in and relax into that front leg. Keep the hip rolling underneath. Walk that front foot a little further forwards. And squeeze into that lunge. Your chest up nice and high. You're staying square through the hips, square through the shoulders. And we're going to walk that front foot a little bit more. And trying to sink. Pressing into the back foot. Releasing into the front leg. Driving down through that hip. And we're going to try and release it a little bit more. Keeping it almost straight, but just on the last little bit before, try and sink it down. Press into that back foot, roll that hip underneath. And last one, press weight into the hands. Let's draw you down into your split as far as you can. Focusing on the square through the hips, taking to 7 out of 10. Little pulses up and down. Use that front leg if you can. No weight in the hands, just using the legs to pulse. And holding the sink, let's rock it side to side, under and back. 2, 3, 4, and under to hold. Use that front leg to push as hard as you can, chest as high as you can go, opening up through the ribs. We're holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, and come out. Bring that leg in. Give those hips a little wiggle. And we're going to get ready for the other side. Chin the leg. Chest nice and high. Use that front leg to push. Grab on for support. Tall through the spine, tuck the tailbone. Use that front leg to push. And arch back into it. Squeezing into the butt cheek of the back leg. Hold for 5 more. 4, 3, 2, and down. Little pulses into the lunge. 4, 1, 2, use that back foot to push each time, 3, 4, and we're holding the sink, pressing through that back foot, releasing into the front leg, tuck the tailbone to get into the hip flexor, keeping it square. We're going to gently walk that front foot out a little bit, and try and sink. Pressing through the back foot, releasing into the front foot. It's nice and high. And we're going to release a little further. And sink. Pressing into that back foot, ribs high. And as low as you can go without going straight, walk it. And sink. And last one, all the way, lift it up. And little pulses into that split. For 1, use the strength as much as you can. 2, 3, 4, sinking into hold, make sure you're nice and square, use that front leg to push, rocking under and back. 1, 2, 3, 4, finding a straight position, use that front leg, pressing into that back leg, taking those hands back as far as you can, head up as high as you can, we're holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Coming out. Bring those knees in. Give those hips a little wiggle. We're going to turn you around. And we're going to put the front foot on. We're going to do our pulses down into our over split. That front leg coming up. Using your blocks, tuck that back toe. Inchworming that leg back as far as you can manage. Walk it out. You can lengthen, lift the chest, and place. Keeping those hips square. Walk those hands back as far as you can manage. Keeping the back toe tucked. We're going to pulse down into that split. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and holding. Use the front leg to resist. Try and take the weight out of the hands. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and pulsing again. Re-square those hips, chest tall. We're pulsing. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're holding. Resist the front leg, chest high. Weight out of the hands for 5, 4, 3, 2, and coming out. Bring those legs in, give those hips a little wiggle. Getting ready for the other side. Front foot is going up. Using the hands on the blocks, inchworm that foot back. Walking it out, if you can, straightening it all the way. Placing it down, walking those blocks nice and high. Wrap that hip underneath. Pulsing down. 4, 1, and 2, and 3, 4. We're holding the sink, resisting into that front leg, weight out of the hands for 5, 4, 3, 2, one more set of pulsing. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, sinking, resisting, chest high as you can go, wrap that hip underneath, weight out, we're holding 5, 4, 3, 2, hands back on, coming out, give those hips a little wiggle, grab a sip of water, and we're going to get ready for your splits. You want to grab a slider, blocks for your hands, put the chairs out of the way. Grab your slider, or if you do have a roller, you can use a roller as well. Clasp for your hands. Squaring through those hips, tucking that back toe, tucking your tailbone. Think about leading from that hip flexor on the way down. Keeping your chest backwards, almost like you're trying to arch into it on the way down. We're going down in a 5, 4, 3, 2, pulsing it down. 4, 1. Press into that back leg. 2, 3. Try to use the strength as much as you can. 4. Last one to hold. We're rocking under with that hip and back. 4, 1. Imagine like you're trying to close this whole gap. 2, 3, 4. Keeping the rock. Wrapping. Try and re-square those hips. Let's go forwards and back with the chest. 4, 1. And use that front foot to push. 2, and 3. Finding your center position. 5 more seconds. 4, 3, 2, and pushing back up. Give it a second. We're going to do that again. You're welcome to sit on the peanut or build up the support underneath that front leg. All right. Tucking that tailbone. We're going down on a count of 5, 4, 3, 2, and little pulses. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Holding the sink. Use that front foot to push. We're rocking under and back. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Keeping that hip under, pressing through that front leg. We're going forwards and backwards. 4, 1. And 2. And 3. Just back up. We're holding for 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2. Back out. Good. Switching your legs. Gonna do the other side. Hips nice and square, tucking that toe. Lead with the hip flexor. We're going down on a count of 5, 4, 3, 2, and repulsing. 1, 2, 3, 4. Holding. Wrapping under with that back hip. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And holding. Square those hips. Square the shoulders. And we're going forwards and back. 4, 1, and 2. Use that front foot to push. Last 1, 3. To neutral. Square those hips. Use that front leg. Squeezing under with that hip. 5, 4, 3, 2. And come out. Moments. We're going to do this one more time on the side. Squaring those hips. Leaning back with the chest. Lead with the hip flexor. 5, 4, 3, 2. Pulsing. 1, 2. Wrapping through that hip. 3, 4. And holding. Pressing through that back toe. We're rocking under with the hip. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Keeping the wrap, squaring through those hips again, pushing through that back toe. We're going forwards and back. 4, 1. Use your front foot to push. And 2. And last 1. 3. Lifting up, best position. Square those hips, use the front leg, press through that back leg. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come on. Bring those knees together. We're going to cool it down. Onto your hands and knees. Let's go around an arch. We're pulling in through the ribs. We're arching. For 1. And 2. 3. 4. Circles around. 1. 2. 3. 4. Changing direction around. 1. 2. 3. And 4. Tucking those toes. Let's walk the heels down towards the ground. 4. 1. And 2. 3. 4. Walking those feet up. Open the legs, grab your elbows. We're hanging it down, straight down to the center. Let everything get heavy to the ground. Through the belly, through the chest. We're rocking side to side. 4. 1. 2. 3. 4. Slowly up. Let the arms swing. Into twisting. For 1. 2. 3. 4. Circles around. For 1. 2. 3. 4. Changing. 1. 2. 3. And 4. Walking those feet closer. We're going to roll it down, leading through from the chin, through the chest, ribs, belly, all the way down. And rolling it up, tucking under through the tailbone, ribs, chest, head, reaching up tall. And release. Thank you. Well done. I hope to see you soon.